Hello and welcome to the Bones Horror Podcast. This is our episode 82, Evil Dead 2. And tonight we had with us Larry.
Hello.
And I'm Kev. And no one else. No Ewan, who's very cute apparently. And also no Jess. Ewan is in Poland, I think. Isn't that right?
I think, he's away, and I think today he set off.
Yeah, we've got a lot of Polish listeners, so he's gone to meet and greet in Poland, do some signings and things. So
it's ever since he got told he was, he's cute.
Very cute.
He's gone out there. He's just raking it in.
He's throwing out the boners in Poland. Right? So no, Jess, I'm not sure what she's doing. Is she going to some Comic-Con or something? I don't know. There was something she had to get up early for. So
she's got an early morning, hasn't she? So
sadly, she's going off. Yeah, so she's got to be at the house by 11, which is pretty early for Jess. So she's not with us tonight. What have I been doing this week? Now, my local football club, they asked me to be chairman, so I've been made chairman now of this club. So it's been really busy. The last few weeks have been busy. So every night this week I've had football. So it's been a bit crazy. So
wow,
I haven't watched that much horror, to be honest. I've watched a few bits, and I've been watching a few Ian Lee live shows, which I don't know if you know who Ian Lee is, Larry.
I've heard the name.
He was on I'm a Celebrity once, and he stole the strawberries with Amir Khan, the boxer.
I remember. Yeah, I was going to say, I remember the boxer.
I really like Ian Lee. He's a comedian, kind of presenter, talks show host. So I've been watching that, and I'm on his Patreon. So they have a couple of live shows go each week. You can get involved if you want to. So I've been watching a bit of that actually. Certainly was last night and Wednesday night. So not too much horror, but yeah, enough to talk about, I think, tonight. So what you been up to, Larry? Still on the films?
Yeah. So just a lot of planning for the summer filming. Once that filming's done, we'll be straight into editing, and then obviously like music and stuff, and everything like that. So it's going to be cool. And I think the plan is that once we've got like a good edit together, we'll put something exclusively on the Bones Horror Pod.
Yes.
So that people who are watching and who are listening can have a kind of like a little exclusive to see where it's going. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm the same. I watched The Sadness, and I watched obviously Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, horror wise, no. The only other series that I've watched, which was literally today, is Obi-Wan. But I know that Stranger Things Volume 1 is out, but I'll be watching that from tomorrow.
I don't have Netflix at the moment, so I might
it's gone up
a little.
The prices
I kind of logged on to my mum's account. She logged on. They log on to my Prime, and I log on to their Netflix. Yeah, they've turned off their Netflix. So we don't have it in the moment. So I'll wait till there's lots worth watching, and go from there. And I know Internet Plus has a lot of it on there anyway, so you can always go that. I'll tell you what I did watch. I've been watching some of the Joe Bob stuff on the VPN. So if you log onto the VPN and then in America and you go onto Shudder, they have a lot of the Joe Bob Briggs kind of films. You know the ones where he introduces parts of it and talks about parts of the film. It's amazing.
We talked about it. We talked about it on a podcast before, I think, where it was just me and you recommended this.
It's really great, and he just did Nosferatu, both versions. So that's really entertaining.
Great.
The only other thing I was going to say is I did put it on our YouTube channel, was me trying to play Dead by Daylight. I did another one, and that was a bit of a disaster as well. Not playing at my best. If you want to go and have a watch, or if you want me to play with you or whatever, I'm happy to do that. It's great. I like the game, but I was terrible.
I was going to say,
I'm normally half decent at this game.
I think when I was watching it, I think because obviously I watched all of it, And it was good. It was good. I really liked it. I think though that at the beginning, one of my favorite points was when I think you said like it went really quiet, starts the game, and you start running around, and then I just hear, God, I've forgotten how to play this.
Yeah, I didn't know what buttons when I was doing gens. It was like, oh, and it all came back to me in the end. But
yeah,
Larry, I'd love to get you playing on it with me.
Yeah. I love the game. I love the game.
And get a few. And I was just toying with whether to buy that new Evil Dead game as well, because it does look great. But then I've heard reviews saying it gets a bit repetitive. So, but then Dead by Daylight is also can be quite repetitive, really.
Well, I think when we posted the last podcast, the most recent one of the Evil Dead, I think Evil Dead the game had come out on that day.
Oh wow, yeah.
I
haven't purchased it. It's about £30, I think, at the moment. It does look. It looks amazing. But people are saying it's a bit boring. But I think I will get to it. Definitely will get to it.
I'd like to try it. I'd like to try it at least to see what it's like, because it kind of has a similar feel. It looks like to Dead by Daylight, but obviously it's going for a different kind of feel.
I think the scenes where where it's the camera's rushing everywhere when you're playing the bad guys. What are they called? What are they called in Evil Dead?
The Deadites.
Deadites, yeah. So that looks amazing, and everything's really fast and rushes through the woods and things. But yeah, definitely will get it at some point. Might wait for it to drop a little bit, but yeah, I will get it. So I do my little. Let's get rid of that for a minute. So we got no technical person with us tonight. Jess normally does. There's going to be no trailers because sadly, I can't do it. But yeah, next time. But I can do this. The lone survivor of an onslaught of flesh-possessing spirits holds up in a cabin with a group of strangers while the demons continue their attack. Now, is that quite what happens? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, that's for IMBD. That. So this.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. So this is a continuation, really, from the first movie.
Yeah.
Which we all love, I think. Most of us, anyway. You and I, at least, Larry.
I was going to say, I think
that's all that matters. That's all that matters tonight. Is we loved it. Well, it's kind of continuation, and you sent me an explanatory kind of video of where the first one starts and this one. Well, no, sorry, the last one stops and this one starts. So
yeah.
And that is what part of it was it? Where he's unconscious, isn't it, in the water?
Yeah. So what happened? And again, I said this on the last podcast, but just obviously repeating. So essentially, after Sam Raimi had made the first film, the company, and I want to say it was New Line, but I'd have to double check. But the company basically held the rights and said, you do not own the rights to your own film. So Sam Raimi, in making a sequel, kind of shortcut it and thought, well, why don't we just remake the first one in the first 2 minutes? So that, and that's why there's different actors, but it kind of plays the same. Some things are a little bit different, but it kind of follows that same, group of friends go into the cabin, speeds through it. And it's the moment where it continues is the first one ends with the evil going through the cabin and kind of going into Ash's face. And in the second one, they repeat that, and you almost could restart it, like, start on the second one where the evil goes into his face, he gets pushed, hits the tree, and falls into the kind of muddy water, and then it's kind of always has the evil in
and
him.
He's possessed.
It's like half possessed, isn't it? Because it's like in
amazing.
Him.
His eyes look amazing.
The special effects are so much better in this film of what they could do and what they did. It's great.
So it's still Sam Raimi. It's still Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
Had a budget of $3.5 million, I think, this time, which is a lot more.
Yeah,
At a box office lot of 11 million. So this is fairly good.
Yeah, very good.
What are you rating on Rotten Tomatoes?
Well, I was quite shocked with the first one, not because I don't think it's good, because I think it's a great film. But I know that a lot of people similar to me say that the second one is the one that really is like kind of the pinnacle of their first, their choice of which one you're going to watch. So I'd hope it would be higher. So I'm going to say in the 80s, but I think the first one last time it was quite high.
Yeah, it was. I'm going to double check because I might have written this down wrong, but no, I haven't written it down wrong. 95%.
I'm happy with that though. I'm happy with that.
It's definitely worth that. 95%. And next week we will be doing Army of Darkness.
Yep.
Or Medieval Dead.
Yeah. Something I noticed in Evil Dead 2 was they you can tell that he kind of had a plan for the third one, because they do mention when the book is, they describe the Necronomicon, and they say it was made in the 1300s AD. So it's kind of harkens and sets up the third one, which I never realized before. I always just, when something goes over your head, you just think, oh, this is great. But yeah,
that end makes total sense now.
Yeah.
In the second one, total sense. I think it might be slightly different at the beginning of the third one.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they kind of
they
shot it on the second one to kind of set it up, and then when they get permissions to go, you can make it. They kind of similar to what they did with the second one. They kind of cover old ground, but they make it a little bit more better to fit the story.
So the Ash character grows in. It has very much a comedy element now, and a hero element, and he is quite funny, and he does go through the absolute mill. I love this film so much; it's just ridiculous. When I watched it again, I actually forgot how many other characters there were in the second one.
Yeah, there's a load
that come along, and I forgot all about that because Ash just steals the show, and he's amazing. The way he throws himself about. I can't. If you've never seen this, it's just different level.
Yeah.
And I love it so much. But God, I just wish the others were on here to talk about it because they haven't seen this.
Yeah,
it's quite sad that, in a way, you and I are revisiting this, but I'd like them on that journey, and now they've got to squeeze in it.
I think what we
another
should
film.
Do. Yeah. I think what we should do is, and if they're listening, definitely Ewan and Jess should, on the next podcast when they're back, give us their thoughts for the second one at the start, because it's also a thing that I was surprised about, because I thought Jess and Ewan would have at least seen the first two. A lot of people do say, I haven't seen Army of Darkness, which I get that.
Yeah.
Because it is a bit of a drastic change.
And it's not. It's also called Army of Darkness instead of Evil Dead 3. It's not an easy one. Some people wouldn't know.
Yeah, they don't connect them.
No. So if you're looking for Evil Dead and you stick that in Google, you probably get Evil Dead 1 and 2. I don't know if Army of Darkness comes up or not at first. I
think it comes up, but I agree with you that most people, if they're not familiar with the franchise, would see that, and I know I would think Army of Darkness is this like a spin-off, because most of the time in today's day and age, you will get like one film, a franchise, and then you get subsidiaries of that, like carry-ons that are connected but not. So I wouldn't be surprised that somebody in this day and age looks at that and thinks, oh, this isn't part of the main trilogy, which it definitely
certainly is. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, the whole trilogy is great.
Have you seen all the series as well?
Yeah. They're literally just to my.
I own the first one on iTunes, but iTunes are often all iTunes. It might be YouTube actually, the Google version. But it's being offered for £30. I didn't realise how many episodes there are, and there is a lot, isn't there? This Ash Evil Dead.
There's three seasons with each of them having 10 to 15 episodes. Maybe I've got it wrong a bit.
And each one's entertaining. I don't think any of them are boring at all. We can do them as well. We can do them as well one day. So, just thinking what I can talk about with this movie. What I love about this movie. The one thing that always stuck in my mind was obviously the removal of his hand, which gets possessed.
That's my favorite bit of this whole film.
Which gets possessed, and he's having he chops his own hand off, which kind of happens in the remake a little bit, doesn't it? But it's not on that level.
Yeah, they do. Like in the remake, they have one of the main characters' girlfriend gets bitten on her hand, and her arm becomes infected, and she chops it off. But they don't play it up, which is why I love the second one so much, because, as you said earlier, they take a huge different direction, and they have horror, but they lean into the comedy way more. So you have
very much so.
Yeah, it almost becomes like a Tom and Jerry sketch, because his hand, the hand will run into the wall, and it's like, where's my hand? And then blood starts squirting out the wall as he shoots it, and thinks, I've got my hand, I've killed it. So they really do lean into one of my favorite bits that I remember watching with my dad a long time ago was when he's in the cabin and kind of loses his mind, and every object around starts laughing at him. And it's the deer head on the wall that's just going crazy. And that used to always stick in my head of like, it's such a great atmosphere, but it combines horror comedy together, where if you're in that scenario,
bad trip or something,
it's definitely.
And he's scared out of his mind, isn't he? He plays that so well. And what in the Addams Family was it Cousin It? What was the hand? What was he called? What was the thing? Was it Thing?
It was something like that. It was something.
This hand's like that. It's just a hand running around, giving him the flipping the bird, as they call it, or whatever. And it just terrorizes him, this bloody hand, until he shoots it.
Yeah, it's the hand has this kind of mind where it's almost satirical in a way, because it's a horrible thought to have, like, obviously in that moment with the character of his your own limbs going against you. But what I think is great is that you could take that in such a horror direction, but they have just the perfect amount of horror, but it's also with the comedy, which I think this is why this one stands out for me, is because the first one does a great job of creating that atmosphere. And obviously it was a low budget, independent sort of film where, they were cutting corners at some places. So it's great. But I think what this one does is that you can tell it's Sam Raimi kind of finding his footing of, I like my comedy and horror mixed together. And it works so well. And if anyone hasn't seen it, I would implore that they do, because it's such a good film.
So to review, it's I don't want to go into it too much in a way, because literally I want the guys to talk about it and what they liked about it and what they didn't. I think the characters that came in to it, which I kind of forgot, and I've seen this film so many times, and I kind of forgot. It's been a little while since I watched it again, but I kind of forgot about them and the way he gets a connection to the female character. And it feels like he's only known her half hour, and he's basically in tears about her death at one point. It's like he loses her, and it's incredible. That is the fun part of it. It's like 1 minute they're kicking the shit out of him, the next he's got feelings for her in a way, and it's just.
Well, that's one thing. That's one thing that this film, again, without repeating myself, but that's one thing that this film does really well, because when the film wants comedy, the comedy is really, really good. And then when who do
you think? Like, sorry to interrupt, but like, who do you think that comedy's coming from? Do you think it's coming from Bruce, or do you think it's?
I think it's both of them.
Sam? Yeah,
I think it's both of them. I feel like with the first film, it was very much as most filmmakers who are making their first film think, which is, I've got to put every single bit of, what I want in it, and it has to be perfect. So with the second film, I feel like that tension was relieved a bit, so he could have more fun. And I think that there was a bit. There was a bit that obviously you posted in our group chat, which was like a picture and a GIF, and that's one of my favorites of that whole.
Is that the video I sent?
Yes, yeah.
So I was watching the movie for those at home, and like I'd had a couple of drinks, and like I'm loving this film, and then it gets to the scene where who gets dragged?
I'm terrible with the names. Terrible with the names, but yeah.
A character gets dragged into the basement by the cellar, and there's what's that door called? Is it? So it gets dragged into it, and the explosion of blood is absolutely incredible. And as soon as I was watching it, I thought, I've got to send this to the group chat, because there's a couple of these I know have not watched it yet. Jess would not watch the film until at least 2 hours before we're due to go live. And it's amazing, isn't it? The way that blood, I wonder how they did that.
Probably like a I wouldn't be surprised if it's just
like a hose.
Like a hose that's being fed through the bottom. Just so this character gets like dragged in, and earlier in the film, which is one of my favorite horror moments in the film, where Ash, these characters who have come into this cabin, Ash is already in there from the first one, so they decide, let's put him in the cellar. He's crazy, he's mad. Let's lock him, and they start to play a recording. And the recording is almost talking about, the Necronomicon, the evil. And the person who has made this recording states like, one of our party became infected with the evil, so we shoved her in the cellar. And she comes up as like almost the rebranded person who's trapped in the cellar, who's, trying to get out. And that scene in itself is terrifying, but later on, one of the, shall we call it, because he's put through the film as a hero character. You think, oh, this guy, he's going to be one of the end, like he'll make it to the end, and he ends up in the cellar and gets absolutely just like, you don't ever see what's happening, but you see the aftermath. Someone's trying to pull him out, and it's just blood spraying everywhere, and it's so much. So much.
It's amazing. I see my he's nearly 16 now, my boy, and he likes Ash Evil Dead, loves it, but it's kind of tentative on watching Evil Dead 1, 2, and 3. Does not really interested in watching them. And I said to actually pick up on how he becomes that Ash we know in Ash Evil Dead. He goes through a bit of a journey, doesn't he, through 1, 2, and 3.
Definitely.
To get to that point. And he won't watch them because I don't think he'd recognize Ash in the first movie too.
Ash looks very different.
Very different. The second one, you get that he's now, this is my boomstick kind of groovy. Which is amazing. Like to the third one, this is my boomstick. Shop smart, shop S smart. All that stuff that he says in the third one to that crowd of. When we'll talk about that next week anyway. But like, I just love it so much. But I was hoping he would watch it with me, but not as yet. But he's been a bit lazy, so
Well, I think as well, like to anyone who's not seen these 3 films at all, the first one is very much an independent, low budget horror. The second one is a comedy horror with a better budget, and I guess you could say, like, I don't want to say better direction, because I think both of them are directed very well, all 3. But I think he had more of what he wanted for the second one, which is why it stands out a little bit more to people. And then I think the third one leans more into comedy, but it still retains the horror elements because it's like kind of a closing chapter. So I think that there's some, like, you might, everyone's going to probably have their favorite and their least favorite, but I think they all deserve a watch, 1, 2, and 3. Just if you can, in order.
I absolutely adore all 3 of them, and remake and the series and anything to do with it. Why I haven't bought the game straight away, I don't know. But like,
yeah,
it's coming. But like, it's you know,
yeah.
So we can touch a bit more about it next week because I'm really interested in what these guys think about it. And I was hoping Dan would be on tonight. I'm not sure if he is or not. So we got Dan's hot pick in a bit actually. And I would have liked to know his views actually on Evil Dead. I presume he'd like it, but
has Dan seen all three of them?
I'm not sure. I presume he has because he does read a lot of horror, and I'm presuming he watches a lot. But yeah, I would hope so. But like, if you were to rate this again, for me, I'm going 10 again. It's
I think
it's just amazing. I can't give it a 9 because I think it's more deserving than that because I've give lesser films a 9. It's just, don't know. I don't know what they could have done better. I think it's just amazing. So
I'm of the same opinion. I think I said it last time where, and please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think last podcast I said Evil Dead 1 was a 9 out of 10 because I think it's great, but I think that as I get older, you can see that it's someone's, it's their first proper try at a film, and you can point out all the stuff, but it's still deserving of a very high grade. But I agree with you completely on this one. I think this for me is like when people say to me, "Oh, Evil Dead," I instantly think, "Oh yeah, watch the second one." Like this,
is it an 18? This or a 15? Let me just check the rating.
It's I want to say it's an 18. I think the first two are an 18, and then Army of Darkness, because it leaned more into comedy, became a 15.
I don't understand because there's a red circle on the Evil Dead Blu-ray. If you can see that at home, everyone. So on there, it's got a
15.
red 15 and a blue 18. But Army of Darkness is both 15s. But
so
the original
15
has two 18s.
So yeah, I believe the red is UK.
Okay.
Because it should say B is he?
Yeah, B Summit.
BBFC. BBFC. Yeah. It should say
the other one. The actual blue one's an Irish one, by the looks of it.
Yeah, so the blue one, I want to say the blue one is more renowned, like
for Irish people.
Well, just like for different parts of different.
Let's say like. Well, it does say Irish.
The BBFC, the BBFC tend to rate their films very. So when I was in college, we actually took a trip to the BBFC where they rate films, and one of the films they showed us, not the whole thing because we were all too young, but one of the films say all of us, but some of us were, but they showed us a clip from Human Centipede 2. And they showed us. They said, "Like this
That's
is
horrible, isn't it? I've not seen it."
Yeah. No, I would grab it. It is over here.
If you've got the steel book or whatever.
No. So what happened was with the BBFC, they showed us like a clip that would go to the UK, and then they showed us one that would be for outside of the the region, so like America, all different sorts, but. The copy that I got here is the copy that isn't permitted. Let's say in the past. Now it is. It is now. You can freely get it. Yeah. So it has like 25 minutes of extra.
Oh, God.
Yeah. All I would say to people is if you like the first Human Centipede and that's a film that you go, I enjoyed, check it out, but. I don't want to sound like that person again because I did this on a revisiting of the Evil Dead remake, but I will just say if you're gonna watch something like that, go all in. So
So where would
fight.
you watch that? So because like I've seen the first one, obviously, and I'm not. It's interesting, but there are some not very pleasant scenes in it. Now the second one, I have listened to some podcasts with the guy.
Yeah.
Isn't he English? The guy in the second one, or is that the third one? It might be the third one.
I will double check.
There's a little kind of tubby-ish guy in one of the movies. I don't know if it's the second one. Is one of them in a prison?
That is the third one.
Okay, so it'll probably be the second one that I'm talking about, played by a British actor.
Yeah, I'm just grabbing it now. It's
so,
right here. Here we go.
I would like to watch it, but it sounded quite rough. A rough one, yeah. So Larry's holding up a copy of the Human Centipede. So it's not still
no.
version, which
I have a funny story about this if you want to hear it.
Is it signed? Have you got it signed?
No. So
okay.
So basically, me and my sisters, we had watched the first one, and I think
that's a proper family film for you guys, then.
Well, so me and my sister, me and my sisters, we always like I'm trying to remember the service that it was called. I want to say it wasn't Blockbuster, but it was like Sky Box Office, and this was back when like this was before Sky Movies. So you couldn't have a subscription to Sky Movies. It was just, you want to watch this film, you have to pay for it, and then it will be shown at a certain time. You'd watch like adverts.
Like the movies before they were proper released, like a
So it would almost be like So it would almost be like going to the cinema in your living room. So it'd be like this film starts at 8 if you want to buy it.
I quite like that. I remember watching a few films that way. Yeah.
And so we watched Human Centipede 1 like that. And I think all of us were like, I think everyone was like, this is quite extravagant for a horror film. The second one came out, and I had watched half of it, and this was the UK version. I had watched half of it with my.
That's edited, is it?
Yeah, my second oldest sister, so my middle sister basically, and we had watched half of it, and I managed to find the uncut version, so I decided to gift her it for Christmas. And she just it was hilarious. She opened it, took one look at it, and handed it straight back over to me and went, "I'm okay, thank you." And so that's why it's right here, right now with me. I don't think I've watched it.
Obviously, didn't want to watch that then. So yeah.
Well, yeah. So no, this is the thing. This is what I mean. Like, so if I would always say that if people want to watch this stuff, like watch that sort of horror, same with like Hostel and all that, I'm still an advocate of like unless you watch an extended. Yeah, no, I'm not the biggest fan either.
I don't like it at all. I'm not into torture porn or whatever they call it these days.
Saw
fun. Yeah, Saw
1 is.
I told you that story, didn't I? About Saw with my wife.
Yeah.
So I took her to see a nice movie. Saw, good ratings.
Nice.
She's never watched a horror movie with me again since. So you imagine I went to see Saw at the cinema. That's quite a while ago. So my cinema is normally on my own for horror films. Yeah. Many films I've watched on my own because she won't go anymore with me.
Well, I saw Evil Dead, the remake or reimagining in cinema, and that was by myself.
Did you go by yourself?
Yeah. So I saw it was coming out. I just literally
was that the shit version or the Larry version? Was that
the shit version? That was where it was in the first release, but no one was.
Anyone listening, send us an email at boneshorrorpod@gmail.com and get yourself a free copy of the shit version of the remake of the Evil Dead. Well, comment in the chat and I'll send it to you. I don't care where you are, because I bought the other version.
Hey, and you know what? We'll even do a double if you want. if you want the
Human
Evil Dead,
Centipede.
yeah, you can take the Human Centipede extended edition, fully. You get 2 in 1. Just email in. I'll happily send it because it ain't doing shit on my shelf.
No, I was surprised you had it, Larry. To be honest.
Well, yeah, no. When I got it handed back, I was very much like,
that's great banter.
I got it.
Sister. That was great banter.
I thought she was going to open it and say like, how have like more amazement, like, oh wow, but no, it was straight away. Like,
how did you know, Larry?
Yeah, it was
perfect.
It was
perfect
straight
Christmas
away. Literally, because everything else on like as you do on Christmas, like even if it's films, you don't usually, unless like someone knows like, oh, you're really into this sort of thing, cool. But I think when she opened it, she thought it was going to be maybe something else, and I think seeing that, she's just like, just fuck off, just take it away.
Oh, amazing! So, like, both of us rating Evil Dead 2 10.
Definitely. The Evil Dead 2 out of the trilogy for me is the one that stands out the most as the best. And
because the others are not here, it's going to be the highest rated movie of the 82 we reviewed on here ever.
Wow. Well, this is a monumental standpoint.
I'll be interested to hear what the other two say, but it doesn't matter now because they could have watched and voted.
I'm trying to think.
Not that far away. Is it really?
I'm trying to think. I think if I had to put my money on it, I think that Ewan will say this one was better, and he will give it. I think he'll give it an 8.
Jess should be quite confused by the whole thing.
No, I think Jess will. I think Jess will like it better. But I can't remember what she gave the last one. I think she gave it a 5, didn't she? Was it a 5?
She might get a little bit higher. Then.
I think this one will be a 7 for Jess, or at least a 6. A 6. I'm betting though a 7.
6 or a 7.
Yeah.
Now Dan just sent me a message, and this is his first one he's missed for a long, long time. He's like, I can't make it tonight. I'm really sorry. And he hasn't had time to watch The Sadness, which is Dan's hot pick. So we're going to talk about it anyway, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
great.
Let's do it then. Bort. So, The Sadness. Now, I kind of raved about this. Came out on Shudder in the UK, and I kind of seen some people talk about it on Twitter. I went, yeah, I need to see this. Normally, anyway, most new films that come out on Shudder, I watch. I've had a subscription for years since it hit the UK, and I thought, wow, I'm going to watch it. So. Here we go. This film. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it, Larry. Okay. A young couple trying to reunite amid a city ravaged by a plague that turns its victims into deranged, bloodthirsty sadists. And the meaning of sadist is someone
sadistic.
Who likes pain and things. So this film is Taiwanese. I think that's how you say it. It's a horror film. It's directed by a Canadian filmmaker named Rob Chabaz. Now, I didn't put any image. I didn't put any images on this. So there's like it comes across like our kind of COVID-19, I think, a little bit.
It does.
It comes across like a COVID-19 situation, but what this virus does is it, as it says, a sadistic. It turns you into something that likes
pain.
Yeah, it likes to give pain to people and make them, obviously, the sadness and make them as sad as possible by torturing and just being nasty. And there is something to do with sex as well within it, isn't there?
Well, it's all linked, isn't it? So it basically makes the almost like human emotions heightened to like 10. So emotional pain, like bullyish-esque behavior, but it's basically like it's like a zombie virus, but take away the "I want to eat you" sort of thing and replace that with I want to inflict pain on you.
I want to be nasty. I want to be horrible. I want to be terrible. And it makes an interesting premise. Now, there's a couple in it, and they get split up. And I think that the story of that is them kind of finding each other again after they've been split up. I think the girl she ends up on that subway.
Yeah, she's heading I want to say it's to work, or she's heading somewhere on the train, and he stays in the apartment, and obviously he does head out of the apartment, but ends up back in the apartment block, and she is obviously on a different direction, and it's kind of like you imagine that they've gone like that, and the whole film is kind of like reaching the point where they'll end up like that.
Yeah, many films kind of carry that storyline. People
plot
get split up.
structure and stuff.
Oh we need to get back to each other, and what happens on the way there. Now the train scene, I don't want to give too much away because there's a lot maybe listening, and we do get a lot of listeners now. They might want to watch this, and I would heavily suggest you get your free month of Shudder, or just it's only a $5 anyway. It's not very much. It's definitely worth seeing and definitely worth watching. But there's definitely a scene on the train that's very brutal where a few people turn. And I do like there's a scene on the steps. Do you know the scene I'm talking about?
With the arm.
But the arm, it takes them a little while just to get it. Everything leading up, the sadistic part of it is they take their time doing things.
That's what makes it creepier, though, because it's not like zombie films do a great job of like, oh god, there's like 50 zombies in a street, and we have to get from point A to point B. If we get if we get like crowded by them, you're kind of fucked. But what this film does very well is that there could be 3. But they're not going to just run and crowd you. It's more that they'll take their time. And as we said, it's very sadistic. So it's not, oh, yeah, let's just kill you. It's, oh, how do we inflict the most pain while you can still...
That's a great scene on the stairs. I think that was the kind of game changer for me. There is a scene in it with some blood that was a little bit unusual compared to the rest of the film.
There's a fair amount of blood.
So, like, again, it's a bit like The Evil Dead 2, that kind of... They're pumping out with a hose. So I was really pleasantly surprised how much fun I got from this film, considering how sadistic it was. Because you can see I don't know if it's taking itself that seriously or not, but it's so well done. And even the ending takes it.
I was going to say, like, obviously we won't say spoilers, but I was very surprised by the ending because I thought that would be the bit that let it down for me, because I was like, well, it's going to be very generic. Like, we've seen this a million times before, different ways, but without saying a word, I would just say that go into this film and don't expect that, because I actually thought the ending was like, oh, it really makes you think of, oh, everything I've just watched, what's going on. So I really enjoyed that.
I know there's going to be a sequel to this.
I hope there is, because
without a doubt,
it leaves it in such a way where there's open-ended for a sequel. It doesn't spoil anything.
Do you think they're going to Americanize it? And there is a big chance.
Yeah, they're doing that with Train to Busan, and
the second one gives it a bit of that anyway, because some of it is American. The Train to Busan 2 has a bit of both, doesn't it? It's not obviously there's.
I loved the first Train to Busan.
Yeah, me too.
I thought that film was like it's such a great premise of, oh, how do we invigorate a zombie plot, and it's like, let's. Instead of it being it's why I really I forget the name of it because I'm terrible, but there was a Netflix series recently that I had finished, and it took the zombie genre, and it was like, well, what if it all took place in a school? And
I know the one you mean.
Yeah, I can't remember the title of it, but that was very similar to Train to Busan for me, where I was like, it's a really good premise. You can watch it and really get enjoyment. It's very emotional, but also at the same time, it does something new. The second one, as you just said, I think that they looked at Americanized films and were like, we got to go bigger. And I don't think that necessarily means better.
No.
So with the American remake of Train to Busan, I'm a bit worried that they're going to do this whole let's make it big explosions and, cars flipping and stuff. And
are they definitely doing that, are they?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
God.
not Busan though. That I think they're
it's Train to bloody
New York. It'll be. I don't know, but I would put money on it that it's going to be the
Train to Manhattan.
Yeah, it'll be the train. But that's the thing. I will actually say that even though we joke about it, I think that will be it because it'll be the transit system from New York to all the way through. So
yeah. Oh, God.
But that's set. I know that they're developing it, but I don't know.
Do it in the UK. Train to Paddington, or
Well, I would love a UK zombie film that change so again, without going on too much of a tangent, but I think that there is space for a UK zombie film similar to what Shaun of the Dead did, where that implemented the comedy aspect of we've all seen a zombie film, let's have fun with the premise. If you live in like certain part of London or in the countryside or whatever, this is what it would be because we're all kind of clued in. But and then 28 Days Later, which was before, obviously, but that took a more serious approach of, okay, the UK kind of virus, lesser zombies, but more infected. But I think that there's room for more of that content. But I just think that you've got to have a defining factor, which is what, going back to it now, which is what I thought The Sadness did really well.
They're doing it so well. And I would love to see more UK horror. I don't think we see enough really at all.
No, not so much now either. Like a while back we did, but not so much now. And if we do, it's not completely in that genre. It's like 50-50.
So, like rating it wise, I'd give it an 8 easily, and maybe even at a 9. It's certainly one of the better films I've seen. Well, probably in the best film one of the best films I've seen this year.
Yeah,
new films anyway.
I think I'd agree with you. I think I'd give it an 8. But that is generally because I love films that focus on. I'm not saying this is a zombie virus, but I love films that focus on like the zombie-esque plague. So The Crazies was another film.
Yeah, good film. Yeah,
that I really hold high, the original and the remake. And I think this kind of fits into that category for me, where it's not zombies, but it takes that premise and it's very very good.
Wow, I'm so pleased you've watched it, Larry. So
I had it saved because I was going to watch it. I was going to watch it the other day, but I had hospital stuff. So
Dan's hot pick without Dan. So I hopefully he'll tell us next week what he thought about it. So I haven't got much to talk about next, but let's move on to what we watched this week.
What have you been watching?
No, seriously, what have you been watching?
Okay. Okie dokie. So I watched some Joe Bob. So I've been watching on my VPN on Shudder. I've been watching Nosferatu.
Great film.
And which everyone's seen and everyone loves, and the way Joe Bob introduces it and tells you all that information you probably didn't know. And also with the male girl as well.
Really quickly, Nosferatu is being remade by Robert Eggers.
Wow. Eggers, because there is a remake as well, because there's a Joe Bob one on that night. He normally does double headers. So the first one was Nosferatu. The second one was the remake. I think maybe 90s.
Yeah, it was 80s.
I haven't seen it. I need to get to that. But he also did, and it was amazing to like listen to it. was Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
And the way he introduced that, and it was one of, because there's so many versions of that film. I think there's even color versions, isn't there?
Yeah.
And it was great. So been watching that. Go and watch that. In the UK, you'll need a VPN. Log on to the States and watch it. Same as if you've got a VPN, log on to Tubi, because TUBI, there is so much on there. And the next one I watched on Tubi, which was called How Whole. I listened to the final guys. I think most people know that who listen to this podcast. And Hunter Shea had watched it on Tubi, this film. So I'll just bring it up. A young woman loses her memory after an attack by a hired killer. She's got some documentation, I think. I ain't got a fucking clue what the documentation was, but they're looking for it. So he kind of finds her and pushes her and from a height, and she gets knocked out. So she loses her memory. But then she's admitted to a mental asylum run by a ruthless doctor who experiments on her patients. This film is very 80s. Okay? There's a lot of hair in it. And there's a lot of nudity in it.
Yeah.
And it's set like in a prison asylum. Why the women all kind of wash each other in the shower and do whatever else they're doing. There's a lot of nudity in this film, but it is very entertaining. I had a lot of fun. Just sat there watching it. Again, it was different. It was 80s. Had a very 80s feel to it. And it was just a great film to watch. I'd only give it a 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, these if they're in this prison or asylum, I think it looks like a prison, but I don't know why they'd put someone who'd knocked herself out into a prison. So I don't know. Most of the girls are all made up, heavily made up. Some of them with breasts that don't look that real in the 80s. So if they misbehave, they get sent to this kind of another section of the prison, and within that section, everyone knows if you go in there, you're not coming out. So they're doing experiments. What kind of experiments? I'd never really worked that out either. But it was fun. So yeah, Tubi, have a watch. You may enjoy it. Don't know if it's for you or not, Larry. I'm not sure, but I actually spent, talking about Tubi the other day, I spent about 30 minutes on the horror section scrolling through it and never got to the end.
Yeah.
And never see the same film twice. Even things like, do you remember Freddy's Nightmares, the series of Freddy?
Yeah.
They're all on there. There is stuff coming up I ain't seen for years, and just everything is on there. But in the UK, you got to pay for it. And I paid £40 for my VPN for a year.
Yeah.
And it's all there. And I can use it on my Fire Stick. I can use it, you know what I mean?
VPN is definitely a way to go.
Tubi TV is just incredible. The volume of film. So yeah, 30 minutes, literally me scrolling. 30 minutes, and still never got to end it. And there's other bits on there, but it was a lot of horror, probably a lot of crap on there. But I'll probably, saved about 100 films to watch to keep me busy. So I don't really need to buy any at the moment. But there's quite new films on there as well. So
yeah.
Get on it in the UK. I know everyone in America will be watching it. So that was pretty much it for me, other than playing Dead by Daylight and trying to muck about. And, the last podcast you and I did on our own, Larry, is gone over a couple of thousand now, which is a lot for us.
Yeah.
A huge amount, really, compared to some of the films we've done in the past, but so I'm really pleased with that.
One of them being probably mine, being Pulse.
Pulse probably did do as well, but it's with YouTube,
it's always
unless you've got loads of subscribers, which ours have doubled in the last couple of weeks.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, thank you about that. But you don't get to, and it may be films like that of when we've got thousands of subscribers, if we ever get to that point, It'd be nice to do films like that maybe people haven't seen before and would then
I think
go and visit, because they are good.
Yeah, I think like you say, it's one of those things where, I think you nailed it on the head perfectly. Where I think the certain audiences and certain people obviously have a certain type of film or certain films that they really respond to, and at certain stages of the game, but yeah, it was awesome. I mean, looking at the amount of views on it, it's great. It's really cool. It's honestly really cool.
Yeah.
Glad that everyone's enjoying.
You imagine if the other two had been on it might have doubled that. You never know. But
quadrupled.
Yeah. And if you're watching at home and you want a copy of the shit version of the Evil Dead remake,
and an extended version of Human Centipede 2, you're more than welcome.
Comment. Just first one to comment tonight.
Yeah, I'll sign it. I'll sign it as well and just put "God help you."
God help you. Is the British actor good in it? I presume you've seen it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is it in a British prison or not?
No, that's the third one. That's not in a British prison though. It's in an American prison.
So he's just a guy, isn't he? A guy who's just watched the film and then wants to copy it. Is that...
Yes. So the first one is like obviously a kind of, as you want to call it, let's say mad scientist, he's good though. Like very good. He returns in the third one as the prison officer, and so like, but I think he's playing a different character, but it's the same actor. He's just as good. But yeah, the second one is about a guy who's fixated on the first film and carries around a notebook. He has the film and he plays it consistently. And he just kind of goes into a spiral. I mean, I think without sounding bad, more
people.
Yeah. Well, more people. So he gets the idea of I want to do it, but it's like the descent into madness, which I think the film is good in that aspect, but there are some things, just again, spoilers, but no spoilers because it doesn't ruin the film in any way. But there are certain scenes in it, like, there's a scene where he's watching the film and he decides to take out sandpaper and decides to, let's just say, pleasure himself with sandpaper. And this is all shown in the, not obviously directly, but it's shown in the film. And one of the conversations at the BBFC, it was almost like, well, this is one of the things that we had to cut out because it's not suitable for.
Just for our listeners, I wouldn't do that.
No, please, God, no.
Honestly, it's just not worth the pain. I'm just imagining it. Not that I've tried it. Just what I'm imagining. I know what sandpaper does.
Yeah, it's gristly. Very gristly.
I think it would be the opposite though, because if you use it on walls, it's meant to, especially a fine sandpaper, it's meant to, bring a nice finish.
Yeah.
If you use that, downstairs, it's gonna.
It's still gonna end well. Yeah, let's put it this way: a wall, smoothing it down with sandpaper, you're making it smoother. Down there, it's already smooth.
Yeah, you're gonna make it rougher, aren't you?
You're gonna make it rougher than you are smoother.
Let's move away from that. So. What have you been watching, Larry? I know you haven't watched a great deal like me. It's been a busy week, but what have you been watching?
So there's mainly two things I've watched. I watched today Obi-Wan on Disney Plus that came out today.
Worth a watch.
Yeah, I think if you like Star Wars and
I like Obi-Wan.
Yeah, well, Ewan McGregor is great, and when you
jump into any toilets or anything and.
No toilet.
No suppository down a toilet.
No train spotting. No train spotting. But no, he's really good. The only thing I would say to people, and it's not a criticism, it's just I think Ewan McGregor did say this, is that if you're a Star Wars fan, his accent has changed a bit, but he's trying to, because obviously this is much closer to A New Hope, so he's trying to portray Alec Guinness, who played Obi-Wan.
I thought he was anyone in the first one.
He
had a funny accent.
Well, yeah. So in the first couple, he does have it, but in this one, it's more. He's added he's made it more like, prolonged. And my dad noticed it straight away, and he was like, he's trying to, and I was like, yeah, but it works. But yeah, first 2 episodes are up, very good. I haven't watched Stranger Things yet. I know Volume 1 is out. I'm going to watch it.
I haven't seen Series 3 yet because I got.
You should.
Yeah, so good, is it?
Yeah, well, so this is the last season that's been split into 2.
Well, they're not really kids anymore, are they? So
no, they're like teen.
They're about 40 now, aren't they?
No, so I know Millie Bobby Brown in real life is 18, but I think she's the youngest. She's the youngest of them. But in the series, I want to say she's going off to high school. So what, like
16, 15?
Yeah, 14, 15, or 16.
I don't know what age they go to high school in the States. So
that's I was going to say, because it's a bit different over here, because obviously their high school is our secondary school, and then our college is what they call, I believe, university or something. I don't know. Maybe you can let me know in the comments. That would be great.
Yeah, please do. Please let us know, because we ain't got a clue.
So. But yeah, so Obi-Wan, great. If you're debating watching it, I definitely would. And then another film that did pop into my head, which I didn't mention to you, that I watched in the week on the computer, was Return of the Living Dead.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
You should. You should.
I'll put that on my list to watch.
So
that'll be on TV.
Just to give people the quickest rundown, if you like the George A. Romero zombie films, God, that is a good question. I don't know.
Okay, so it's not from it. Yeah.
No. So George A. Romero made obviously Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead, and this film is like almost kind of what Human Centipede 2 did with the premise, which is Night of the Living Dead in this universe is a film, and everyone's like, "Oh, have you seen that film, Night of the Living Dead?" And it's just, you can guess how it goes. The guy's like, there's like a dead body, and they're like, "Oh, this is what the film was based off of, this body." And then a zombie virus takes place. But what I love about this film is they take the zombie premise to the older days where it was all about brains. So these zombies can talk, they can think, and they just want to eat brains because it relieves their pain.
Okay.
You should watch it, Kev. You'd love it. You'd honestly love it.
I'm not sure if I probably have, but I'll put it on a list.
Yeah.
And then I can talk about it with you next week. So that was it. Was it really?
Yeah, that was it. I mean, the only other film, again, I've seen it before, but I'm watching it this week, which is Godzilla vs. Kong, because I recently completed my steelbook collection of all the. I've literally completed all of the Kong and Godzilla steelbooks. So that was the last one. That was the last one I needed to get, but it was cheap. I found it in Kex. I found it in Kex 4K for less than 17 quid.
That's nice. Yeah, I need to get some more. What did I have this week? This week I had delivered.
I think you told me about this one.
First season of Castle Rock.
Great series. Did they make a second season?
And the second series of Castle Rock.
They did. Okay, I haven't seen.
And there's a third series coming out. Apparently, it's got Pennywise in, so I'll be interested to see that. And the only other one,
Pennywise is in the first season.
Is he? So I haven't seen it. So
okay. He is in. I won't say anything, but he is in
the other one.
Season.
That was a cheapie, and I got Life.
I love that film.
Yeah,
I love that film. Sci-fi horror.
Yep. So Life with what's his
name? Jake
Yeah.
Gyllenhaal, Ryan Reynolds, and I forget her name. I want to say her last name's Ferguson.
Rebecca Ferguson.
That's it. Rebecca Ferguson from Mission Impossible.
Yeah, so that's on there. So that's my 3 movies. I didn't buy any more this week. Oh, I've got that Wormwood Apocalypse to watch, which I will make as Dan's hot pick for next week. If that's all right, Dan, if you're listening back to this. So that'll be Dan's hot pick next week, which I think
It's
Dan's
great.
definitely seen it, hasn't he? The first one. So
I think
he should
Dan.
like
Dan I
it.
think I want to say Dan. I don't know if he's seen the second one, but I know he mentioned the second one. But I think he has. But yeah, both of them are great. I
So
think
we'll
they're
make
both.
that. So next week's movie will be Army of Darkness, Medieval Dead. So Evil Dead 3.
Yep.
We will get down, watch that. So we'll have a lot of fun with that. Hopefully the others are on. I don't know when we go out next week. It'll be next weekend, I expect, at some point.
Yeah.
You want to follow us on Twitter? It's the Bones Horror Pod, and you want to email us for this for a couple of Blu-rays? Then the Bones Horror Pod at gmail.com, or just leave us a comment on the YouTube channel and get subscribing and get liking, and we appreciate everything. So you up for next week then, Larry?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm hoping someone in the comments will definitely tell me the American system of the school.
Yeah. So, because I think they go to school till about 45, don't they? I don't know. They certainly seem quite old in some of the movies. Some of these youngsters.
Well, I always get confused because in certain like American films, they'll go like, "Oh yeah, we're going to college," and then obviously for someone who's in the UK, it's not
16, isn't it? 16
yeah,
or 18
it's
is
not.
college.
It's not the same. So, like, what they refer to as college is almost like their university, whereas our college, I don't know. Someone just has to put it. This is my call out. Someone put it in the comments.
Well, they have different words for it. Like trousers are called pants, and what we call pants are what you wear your underpants. Cats, knickers, route. Yeah, Route 66, is it? I don't know. There's a few things they say differently to us, but that's not a bad thing.
No,
maybe we're saying it wrong. But we'll be seeing you again next week. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We love you all. See you next week. Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.